Welcome back to Pancakes and Pandemonium. So, okay, you guys, I have stopped and started this video so many times. I was going to do like a day in the life and all of these things. Nothing is working out today. Gracie had some testing for school, even though she's on spring break, that she had to do, and it was like 2.5 hours. I had a telehealth appointment, which was about an hour today. Mason and Em have normal school, even though the older kids are on spring break. And it's spring break for the older kids. So we have 2 of 3 of our kids with autism out of routine. And because they're out of routine and they're home, Mason and Emily are out of routine, which Emily's only 9, so that's just hard, even for a neurotypical kid. Mason's my other kid on the spectrum. It's raining. We have all of these factors. We've just come off of a holiday. Like, so many things are going on today, and we just cannot pull it together. That's life, and that's autism mom life. I knew I wanted to come in and film for you guys and give you guys an update. I finally was like, okay, everybody take a beat. They're like turning on a show or a movie they all really like for a bit. But honestly, it's the reality, especially when you have multiple kids who are neurodivergent. There are days, no matter how scheduled you are, no matter how organized you are, that you cannot keep it together. I'm laying down because I took Tylenol about 30 minutes ago, but I had a headache too. So I came in and was like, okay, I need a minute. But yeah, there are just days where you just cannot, because you've got so many things happening at once, right? And just things that you can prepare for, but you can't control. And how a kid reacts when they are out of routine, you can prepare for, you can set things up, but some things are just going to impact them. They're going to get bored. They're going to have expectations that, maybe aren't getting met, or, of what they thought break would look like. I know I have kids, especially since 2020, that love being on technology. Okay, so as I was saying, like, I have kids that, they want to be on tech. They're teenagers, no matter how much it's never been that way, or, maybe it was that way once or twice, especially after 2020. They have it in their heads. They want to be on their games all day and not be bothered. And we are coming off of a holiday where, it was like dominoes. Everybody was sick with a stomach bug last week, and there was just like no breaks. So that, they still have chores. They have things to do that keeps them somewhat in routine, so that's not a shock to their system when they go back to school. And that is not what they wanted to happen. Even if they, because I have been telling them, like, hey, Monday we're going to do this, and then Tuesday like this, and then leading up to the weekend, and then the weekends kind of emerge, right? They're coming off of spring break, and Mason and Emily will be preparing to start their spring break. So, they wanted things a certain way, and things were not happening a certain way. So then we had upset kids. And so it has just been so much managing today, which is my job. This is why I'm home. This is why we've worked to make me available for the kids during the day, right? So they can, if they're at school, they can reach me. If they're home, I'm available. I'm available to intervene. But, it's not easy. It's never easy to deal with an upset kid. It's never easy to deal with a kid melting down. It's not easy to deal with a hyperactive kid, no matter how well trained you are. I also think it's easy and common. I'm trying to find, oh my gosh, my hair is crazy now because I was laying down. I also think it's easy or common for a mom, especially a mom in my position, who has done this for a lot of years, is seasoned, right? To have an off day and days, or maybe even a series of days where things just aren't going right, to feel like a failure or feel like they are just misstepping or miss the mark. And that is just not the case. Sometimes you can do everything right and still have an off day, because we're all human, right? So we are having an off day. So like I said, I told the kids, go turn on a show, turn on something you really like, find something you guys can do all together. So that is, they went in there and they're working on that. I ordered chips and salsa from a Mexican food restaurant here in town that I really like. And I was like, I am going to regroup and talk to you guys and have a Coke Zero and chips and salsa. Okay. I got the crazy hair fixed. Oh, that's my pillow. I was like, what is back there? All right. So, okay, what is new and coming up? Not a lot is new with us, guys. We are just working on things because of school, because of COVID, because of moving in 2021 and having to regroup from some setbacks and really care for the mental health in our family. It's been very slow coming out of the pandemic. And I know for some people it was, and other people, depending on the area you were in, it just felt like you bounced back really quickly because maybe you weren't impacted, or maybe your area moved on really fast. Like I know in areas like Texas and Florida, they weren't locked down as long. I think Utah sometimes tries to paint the picture that they weren't locked down as long. But I know that there was like COVID structures put in place. Like maybe people weren't wearing masks out everywhere, but a lot of organizational structures were still like very much so in place. Like until like mid 2021, almost 2022, church meetings were still not running at full capacity, and there was still a lot of kind of iffy stuff happening in schools and stuff like that, at least where I was at. So maybe more in between. And then I know if you were way far west or way far east, some of those areas were still very firmly in lockdowns until 2022. And we are just widely seeing the way that impacted kids, whether they are neurodivergent kids or not. It's my ring light back there. I should set that up here in a minute and talk to you guys on that, but I'm really comfortable right now. But yeah, whether your kids were neurodivergent or not, the impacts of it have been great. And a lot of parents, myself included, have not always known how to navigate that and some of the things that happened. And then if you dealt with effects from the pandemic, we had a situation where we had a death in the family, not due to COVID, but it was over COVID. And then we had a massive falling out with family, and we're widely estranged from some of our family members, which has been hard for the kids. And it's not something that we can take back because we had learned some things over that time. And in other ways, like pieces came together with certain things and certain judgments on our disabled kids, and just some really hateful and hurtful things. And so it's not in our kids' best interest to mend those fences. You know, we can work on peace and forgiveness so that it doesn't eat away at us and our hearts and our bodies and our minds. But those relationships will never be the same again, because you can't let people who would willingly hurt your disabled children and say hurtful things. Yeah, it was a very revealing time, and it was really sad. And that's some of the stuff that we have dealt with recovering from. So that leads us into the future, right? There's still some things that we are not ready to fully talk about because they haven't come to fruition yet. And Lance, especially, my sweet husband, you guys, hold that thought real quick. Okay, I'll sit up like a grown-up and talk to you guys. The lamp's crooked. You know what? It's fine. So Lance has a really hard time speaking things into existence because in his mind, it hasn't happened yet. So we're not going to talk about it. And I am like, no, speak it and like make it happen, manifest it. And so, yeah, but he is finishing up school. He's currently in a class that he will wrap up. And the way the schedule is currently set up, he will finish this class and then he'll have 28 days. I don't know why. That's the way they set it up. And then he will start a second class. They have told him it's an availability thing. What we aren't clear on is if it is like the class just is not available for 28 days because there is only like one teacher that teaches it or something available, and that's when they're available. Or if an existing class is full, and so the next one isn't available until then. Now, when Lance gets more towards the end of this class in a couple more weeks, he's going to email his academic advisor. And if it turns out it's a full class, he is going to ask if he can email the instructor and say, you know, would you consider making room for one more? Here's my situation. And if they will, great. And if they won't, well, then he'll have 28 days and then he'll start his final class in his master's degree. And then a whole lot is pending on there. He is currently looking at a position with a program on Hill Air Force Base. And that is the most he is comfortable talking about it. And of course, I don't want to disrespect him or his wishes, but he has to have that finished and he has to have a final GPA for further consideration. So that would be really exciting. This program he is looking into, it is something he really, really wants, and it would change it would change a lot in our lives, especially financially, which is super exciting. But again, we have to wait and see. And we have to see what his grades are. He's done really well in school so far and has maintained a B average up to this point, which is really, really fantastic, all things considered. I'm super proud of him. So if in theory he got this position, we live more than an hour away, like depending on traffic and certain circumstances, up to 2 hours away from Hill Air Force Base. So that leads me to the next part of what's going on. So Alex graduates this year. He graduates May 20th. We're super proud of him. He's worked really hard with all of these obstacles, plus his autism, plus his anxiety, everything he's dealt with since 2020. And so he graduates. We are working with Voc Rehab for next steps. We've toyed around with the idea of college classes or just him getting a job. We are setting up therapy for him and a Voc Rehab counselor for him. We want to make sure we are making the best decision with his best interest at heart. And there's a lot of transitional options for individuals like Ryan, not always for super high functioning individuals like Alex, because that term, super high functioning. And so there is this thought pattern like, well, they're high functioning, so they should be fine. And all high functioning means is that you don't have some of the severe cognitive delays or your verbal and stuff like that. He still deals with executive function issues. He deals with intense anxiety. He has mild Tourette's as well. And so he has tics and stuff. So we're doing the best we can to set him up so that he can transition comfortably into the next steps for him. And Ryan has one more year of Bridges, which we're super excited about. You're in Bridges until 22. And so next year will be the year where we really talk about next steps for Ryan. And we have a lot to learn. We have not had like full adults. Obviously, legally, age-wise, they're adults, but they've still been in school and you know what I mean? So we have not had full adults before with autism. So we're learning how to do that. So that being said, Ryan has been super successful in bridges, and we're super proud of him, and we want him to finish his last year in bridges. So the plan currently is to stay put if Lance gets this position when he's done with school. So he'll commute, he'll take the train back and forth to Hill Air Force Base from where we're at. Let me center this a little bit. It's a little bit better. He would take the train to and from for his first year working there. And then theoretically, sometime around this time next year, we would begin the process of a move further north. And again, there's so many things that we don't know. We don't know like the process of getting into this program. A lot of times with a federal job, you have a 2 to 4 month process of like onboarding. We don't know if that is the same for this particular program that he's looking into. We don't know if he will send him his transcripts at the end of this and they'll be like, great, we're good to go. Like, here, fill this out. We'll see you in a couple weeks. We have no idea what to expect. So all of this is in theory, but these are the high hopes, right? So yeah, a potential move on the horizon from a year from now. And we're super excited about that. But for the sake of our kids and their place in life and their positions, we would stay put. And then based on that information, we will make certain plans and arrangements. This has been such a limbo type period for us, but dealing with coming off of COVID and COVID in the beginning and kids transition and kids struggling with transition and Lance's mental health and our kids' mental health. It has been an extraordinarily low-key couple of years, and we're really just kind of coming back out of our shells a little bit. Once we find out what's happening there, it will kind of unravel more plans. Does that make sense? That's what we have going on. We have such exciting things for Lance, and we have such exciting things for these boys. I wish I could tell you A, B, C, and D, and this is what we're doing, but that's the thing with this life with these extraordinary kids is you don't know. Every milestone they hit is a new I don't know for us. But they've worked so hard, you guys. And I'm so proud of these boys. The boys, they're the boys. They're young men. And it's crazy. But I'm so proud of them. They've worked so hard. And we're just going to keep serving them and doing what we truly feel is the best for them. We are exploring guardianship for them still. It's really expensive. I've actually thought about starting a Patreon or a Buy Me Coffee with my channel while I'm still trying to get monetized, see if I can add to our income to make that possible. As a matter of fact, that's something else I'd love for you guys to comment down below on and tell me how you'd feel about that. And if I did that, what would be like what you would consider specialized content from me? Would you want like recipes made readily available, special recipe cards if you joined that Patreon? Would you want more like meet and greet functions or Q&As where you sit with me and certain kids or family members? Or I know typically with those types of platforms, people look for extra content, and I've struggled putting out there because I don't know what kind of extra content I would do. So I'd love to hear your feedback. Would you be interested in that? And what type of extra content would you be interested in with that? That would help me out a lot. But yeah, we've talked about that and we've toyed around with that because it's expensive. It's really expensive. So yeah, we're playing around with those ideas. We're still toying around with the idea of guardianship or conservatorship for the boys so we can make sure they remain protected. That is such an important thing we have learned the last couple of years. It was very eye-opening how vulnerable they were, and not everyone, whether they should or shouldn't, had their best interest at heart. So They just need a bit more protection for a little bit longer, and we're trying to figure out the smartest way to do that, because the goal is independence, right? You'll find that with most individuals with disabilities. There are instances, of course, where disabled individuals cannot reach independence in adulthood, but in a lot of cases, they can reach some type of independence. Not always. Definitely not always, but most definitely in the case of my sweet young men, they should be able to achieve a level of independence, if not full independence, in their adulthood. And that's the goal, right? To set them up and make sure they have the support structure and the confidence and the ability to do it and do it well. So that's what we are working on, guys. And it's tricky and it's hard and it's emotional. As a mom, I feel really raw and vulnerable sometimes going through this with them. And, it's a whole journey. And I'm kind of one that believes you never really stop being a parent. Just your job looks different, right? Obviously your role as a mom looks different to a 9-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 20-year-old, right? But it's especially true with kids with disabilities. So it never stops. And there's so much to worry about. They're making popcorn. Can you hear them? But there's so much to celebrate. So you guys remember Ryan graduated last year. Alex is going to graduate this year. And then Ryan's actually going to graduate again. So when he graduated high school, he got a certificate of completion because he was officially done with Spanish Fork High School before he came into Bridges. So when he's done with Bridges, he will get his full high school diploma, which is just so cool. It's so cool. It's so exciting. Like I said, they've worked so hard and I am so proud of them. And those of you that have followed me for a bit, you're probably now going, well, what about Mason? Because I have a third son with autism, Mason. Mason's 11. Mason turns 12 this summer, you guys, and he's just plugging away. We will keep them in the program they've been doing through next year. And so the next big step for Mason will be deciding if he stays in this program through 8th grade, which will be after next year. He'll be in 6th grade. Or if once we move, if it goes to plan and we move in the spring next year, spring, early summer next year, do we want to go ahead and try middle school? Are we a little more settled, a little more confident? Do we want to go ahead and try middle school? But middle school's brutal and there's just so many things to weigh leading up to that point that we're just going to enjoy this summer and the next school year with Wasatch Learning Academy and Harmony. Because, as much as I would love to look dead on into the future and have the plan, just all the dots connect, that's just not the way it works. So there's a lot of things we have to see, but guys, we have so many exciting things in the future. And I actually put up my very first YouTube video that was like February 27th was my YouTube birthday, but I wasn't very consistent. We officially kicked off our channel and started consistently uploading October of 2020, maybe late September 2020, documenting our move to Utah. And since then, we've had so much happen. You guys have watched us and you guys have watched us grow and you've watched us pull it together and you've watched the channel evolve and you still see me get up in sweats and pajamas and insanely crazy messy hair, but you've watched us evolve from living at my in-laws to being upstairs in transition to moving down here. And you guys have just watched this evolution and knowing Lance working this job and this forklift. And it's really interesting to contemplate that this chapter's almost closed. Even if we're in this apartment another year, we have a really significant, really hard chapter in our lives. Really, we had a lot of joy and we celebrated and we had good things come, but This is a really hard chapter, and we're almost to the end of it. And of course, when I say that, I don't mean the channel. You guys get to stay around for the next chapter. You get to watch this chapter transition into the next really beautiful chapter. And I'm really excited to do that with you guys. So that being said, I will be keeping you posted. Our current trajectory is that Lance should be done with school July 24th. And the kids are all done with school May 20th. And that will be Alex's graduation. I think Mason and Em are May 23rd. But we'll all be at Alex's graduation, of course, here in the fairgrounds. And we have another exciting summer in Spanish Fork. And so we are just gonna do our best to live it and live it to our best. And so that when this chapter closes, we feel amazing about everything and where we're going next. So I hope you enjoyed this update. It's really fun to talk about my kids, and in honor of Autism Awareness Month, be really vulnerable with you guys and be really real and honest with you and let you know what is going on and what we know to expect and what we don't know to expect, which is such a real part of this life. And I'm sorry you just got me. Like I said, between everybody being sick last week, which was when I was going to film, and then Easter and everything, like I just could not get my crap together. And then today was, like I said, a really hard day and a really hard transition day. And so I think as much as sometimes we want everything to be like, oh, this is so great and so amazing, and look at how I'm making the best of it, especially on YouTube, I think that to be able to be real and vulnerable and say, hey, I could not get it together. We could not get it together and do what we had planned. And I think that is one of the best ways to honor autism awareness, because it's not always a picnic. It comes with so much joy and it comes with so many rewards. But you hit those highs by having the hard days and the hard times first. Does that make sense? Today was a hard day, and it's totally fine, because you know what? They're gonna watch a movie. I'm gonna eat my chips and salsa. Lance is gonna be home in a little bit. We're gonna have leftovers for dinner. We might even watch another movie. The kids have been dying to watch Beetlejuice, like the old school Beetlejuice. So we might just turn on a family movie tonight and just put our feet up and just breathe and relax and be like, it's okay that today did not go perfectly. So I hope, mamas, if you have a child on the spectrum or children on the spectrum, I hope that this brought you some peace, knowing that your hard day isn't unique to you, and it's not anything that you did or didn't do that brought it. It's just part of our life, and to know that it's going to get better, and to know that it's gonna be okay. I love you guys. I am so grateful you decided to join me. Like this video and subscribe to me if you haven't yet, and come back for more Pancakes and Pandemonium. I'll see you next time. Bye.